express myself, I'm next up. Yeah, what more do you say? Coming up. Yeah. Come on, come up now. Come on, can't stop me. Come on, you coming up.
Hello, everybody. I am waiting for Morgan to get back on. Y'all, we were having some, as usual, the internet is not kind to us at times, but welcome to the House of Peach. If you are joining us for the very first time, we want to say welcome. If you've been on before, then welcome back. So I want everyone to get on. I want you to say hello, say something in the comments, in the chat to let us know that you are there. We are excited to have you with us today. Definitely want you to join in on this conversation. This is going to be good tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what's going on. Morgan just texted me and said that she can't get back in, so I don't know what's going on. Peach, Smack, can y'all help her? I have no clue why she can't get in, but I want to make sure that my co-host is here. Good evening, Latanya. So happy you've joined us from YouTube. Make sure you share this out. This conversation is going to be like no other tonight. We're going to talk all about it. So if you have not subscribed to our page, there's a QR code that's on the screen. We need you to use your phone and scan it so you can be on top of when we come on live, when we have events, when other things are going on. We don't want you to miss out. We don't want you to see it after the fact. We would prefer if you were on with us when we were live so you can comment then, so we can interact, so you can join in on all the fun that we have. Last Tuesday we had Gigi Gal on, and when I tell you she was straight, the energy was so high. I had someone that I just met in Walmart at the optical center. So I took my daughter to get glasses, and my daughter said something about the podcast, and she's like, "What podcast?" I told her. She watched last week and saw the show and loved it. So I'm expecting her to be on again tonight. And if you're on, Miss Trisha, make sure you let me know that you're here. Put something in the comment. So welcome to all of you that's on Facebook. You're on Morgan's page, you're on my page, you're on House of Peach page, you're on YouTube, wherever you are, you can share. We have the ability to share on all these platforms. And guess what? We just found out today that Restream has added Instagram on here. So we're soon going to figure out how to do that with Instagram as well, because what we're doing here at the House of Peach, we are making sure we reach as many people as possible. So what we do here, if you don't know, we highlight female entrepreneurs, but then we also have conversations at the end of every month. The last Tuesday in every month is our He Said, She Said segment, where we come up with a topic and we have people come on that just discussed. We all have a conversation. We want to have the men and the women on to get it from a male and female perspective. This is a judge-free zone. We come in peace. It's going to be very adult, and we're going to have a great conversation. So if you want to join us, let us know. We put the topic out. You let us know if you want to join. We send you the link, and you're able to come on and join us for our He Said, She Said segment the last Tuesday in every month. But if you are a female entrepreneur, or you know a female entrepreneur and they have not been on this show yet, then why? What are you waiting for? Let's get them on. There she is, the lovely Morgan. Hi. I'm so happy you over here. I'm like, dang, I got to carry this by myself today. What's going on with that?
Oh, I know. It was like I came on, was good, and then I wasn't. And, then of course.
See, this is how you know that this is going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot of people viewing. We're going to have lots of comments, lots of interaction. I'm speaking that prophetically. That's what's going to happen tonight because the
Yes.
time that we have is going to be great. It's great. But before we get into all of that, so how has your day been and how has these 2 days of the week been for you so far?
Uh,
Oh my. What does that look mean? Wait a minute. Wait.
it's been interesting. Tax season for us entrepreneurs is like next week. So trying to make sure all of that kind of stuff is together and,
Yeah.
you know, trying not to be
Well,
stressed about that. And
that's easier said than done.
yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I guess it's been pretty good. In the phase of revamping and adding some new things to, my service list, taking a couple of things off. So yeah, I'm just in a interesting
Mm.
place
I
in just life right now in
I think
general.
that's the best
But
word to describe it is interesting. Like you can't think of the right word that would give it justice or properly describe it or convey how you feel. So you just say it's interesting. So it just leaves it open to imagination. Like what does interesting mean? It's just interesting. That's all I can
it's
say.
just that.
It must be
Exactly.
the season. This is the time where we get ready for daylight savings time for those places that do move their clock. So everything is off and different until we get adjusted to that. And then it changes again. I just wish they would stop doing that. I want to be like Arizona. They don't change it
Yeah,
all in Arizona at all.
there's a couple of countries that don't either. Like in a minute, it's just going to be okay. This is the time that it is, and that's that.
I just want it to be like that now. I don't want to have to get up in the middle of the night and change the clock or remember, oh, it's a different. Yeah, I don't like that. But anyway, we're too we're too low on the totem pole to make those kind of decisions. We can't do that.
Actually, can I tell you something crazy? That is probably one of the most erroneous common statements that we use, the
Mm,
being low on the totem pole.
mhm.
Funny enough, being low on the totem pole is a good thing because that is actually where the highest place sits.
Really?
It's the complete opposite.
Really?
So what you don't want to be is at the top of the totem pole.
Oh, I learn something new every day.
Yep, I know. I'm bearer of useless information. Well, it depends on useless is
It
relative,
is
right? But I was
relative.
like, I thought that was
Huh.
interesting in and of itself.
Well,
So,
I'm going to do a little bit more research on that because I'm interested.
yes,
So now I'm not the low. So it's a good thing to be the low man on the totem pole. So okay.
yes, yes,
So then I'm not the high man on the totem pole. So
exactly. Yeah, you don't want that placement. Not at all. Not at all. How was your week, though? I'm sure I missed your quick
I
recap,
haven't
but
said
how
I
was
haven't said one word, not one. I'm trying not to. I'm better than I was last week because I was really in a place
it?
last week. I'm better today, but with dealing with your emotions on things and trying to navigate through all the layers of your life and who you are and dealing with that. Like I was in a class Sunday night and I said to them in the class, we were talking about that, going through all the layers of who you are. And I realized they were talking about like having an onion and going through the layers of it. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, my onion, my life has a whole lot of layers, like way more than I expected. So many more things that I have to deal with. So trying to process through that and deal with that, that's it's so transparent. Like it puts me in a
Really.
vulnerable spot that I don't want to be in. Like I don't want to do that. I don't. But
Exactly. But see, that allows, like, for me, what I've learned, especially my therapist is very, very big on like self
mhm.
check-ins. And so that when it's, like a conversation, it's like, hey, how are you? That doesn't bring up so much emotion or sometimes anxiety, because you know what, you've checked in with yourself multiple times throughout the day to ask yourself, how are you? And based upon that, then when at least another question is, hey, how you doing? Then it's not so sometimes gut wrenching when people ask that question. Just like you saw my face when you're like, yeah, so how's the last couple of days been? And I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that's a loaded question.
right.
Like,
I remember
but
once upon a
you know,
time that people would ask me, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I would give them the typical church answer. I'm blessed. I'm doing great. Oh, God has been good. And yes, I am blessed and God is good. But right in through here, I'm
I ain't
good.
okay.
So that has nothing to do with how good
Exactly.
he is. I'm not good. So now that I have done all this work on me and continue to do this work, I am way more honest about where I am. So if I'm not doing like last
Good.
week, for me to say that live like that, and I do that on my page. When I go live on my page, like I'm transparent. Like, look, I'm not gonna be fake. Today is not a good day. I am not with it. I'm not feeling it. But today is better. This so far it's been better. Um, yeah, it has been. So I can only expect it to go up. I know it's going to go up from here as I continue to deal with me, continue to work on me even more
Yeah.
with all these things that's going on in my life. But I got good news yesterday. I got good news today. So it kind of was like, oh my, it's a twofer. So yeah, so I'm excited about what's to come. My travel schedule for April has just increased, so I will be
Ooh.
out of town every weekend in the month of April. Like, oh shoot, I sure will. So yeah, but it's good. I love traveling, so it's a good thing.
That's good. Actually, yeah, I'll be doing some traveling at the end of this month and
Okay,
middle
yeah.
of next month. Yeah, so I'm gearing up, and excited. I'm excited, you know.
You're
New
right,
every
Latanya. It's healthy to be able to say I'm not good. Exactly.
Yes,
Because you
absolutely.
lie to yourself. Not only you lying to other people, you're lying to yourself. So, but tonight, oh my goodness, our topic tonight. Are you
Mhm.
ready for this? I am, because I have experience, 100% experience. So I can't wait to put my 2 cents in.
I know. I'm definitely excited to have this conversation and to, really see what we can be able to glean. Like I said, this is such a touchy subject. And
Yeah,
so, to really get some, information, to get some grounding, some, good headspace, whatever it is, because, separation, divorce, none of that is easy. And it
right.
does pull in a lot of different areas. And, sometimes even we feel like, oh, divorce is not an option because of certain things. Like there's,
Yeah,
kids on the table, or, a spouse is, sick or can't necessarily completely take care of themselves. So we find reasons, or even our own abandonment or insecurity issues, we find reasons to stay in
yeah,
situations that we probably should leave.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm definitely excited, to talk about, what Miss Baker has to share with us for today.
Yeah, one thing I can say, the 2 times that I did get divorced, I was not looking for a reason to stay. I was looking
Mm,
for a way to get out.
mm,
The first one was easier, and it didn't matter. I had Kayla, and I was pregnant with Zuri. But the second one was it was a little more difficult because then the spiritual aspect of my life was involved. But I knew it was either you get out of here or you are going to lose your mind and you're going to be somewhere in the psych ward. And I was not willing to do that. I was not.
absolutely. I
So,
definitely want to talk about that spiritual aspect, because I know that
yeah,
that plays heavy for a lot of people. Um,
yeah,
and we stay because of what we believe as far as divorce is concerned, or
mhm,
what different cultures and religions say. So is
right.
I would love to be able to have the conversation about how do you decipher without feeling like you are compromising your
Mhm,
beliefs for doing still what is best for you in
yeah.
in a relationship. So
Hey,
hello,
Jen.
Harvey and Jeff. Hello, how are you guys?
We've been waiting on you. You 15 minutes late, man. You know you're always like the first one on here. You can't be late. We need you on here at the beginning.
Listen, I'm sure homework, kids, all those things, they play a part in it too. So, all right. So, without further ado, because I can't wait to see. I have a feeling because I actually did not ask our guest this question as far as where we are for our pin on the map.
Oh, yes.
But I have a feeling it's kind of local. So
Okay. Well, we're going to find out. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to talk all about it. You're going to hear all about my stories. They're plural. That's 2 divorces. And you know what? I used to be ashamed of that. And I'm not anymore. We're going to wait and talk about all that. I don't care.
Yes, definitely. That too.
I
That
left that
too.
shame alone. Like, there are people that just now finding out I am divorced. Like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. Like, since 2018. What are you talking about? So anyway, can we bring our guests in so we can
Yes.
start this conversation?
Latoya Baker, y'all.
Hey, oh my God, you got the full screen. We can't hear you. Are you muted?
You know what? I was muted. I'm here though. How
Okay,
y'all doing?
all right. Look, you got it just like you wanted.
Yes, I did.
Everything full screen. All right.
It's working out. It's gonna be a great show today.
Yes, it is.
I'm
Yes,
definitely
it is.
excited to be here tonight with you 2 amazing ladies. So thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So tell us about yourself. Anything that you want to share, so the audience will know you a little bit more, and then we're gonna dig right and get into the meat of why we are here.
Okay, so I'm Latoya Baker. I'm actually the co-founder of She's Understood, which we're going to talk about tonight. I'm actually a part of a amazing board, LGBT board, IME Inc., amongst so many other things. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about She's Understood and how I came up with it. I myself, I'm young, yes, but I am divorced, newly divorced, but been separated for a couple years, but been divorced about a year so right now. But I realized that maybe I needed someone to talk to. And sometimes you can't always go to your family members, your friends to talk to them about certain topics when it comes to divorce, right? So a friend of mine told me, why don't you go to a support group? I was like, well, that's kind of a good idea, right? But when I went to look for a support group that fits me, an African American young lady, I didn't find any. So then I came up with the idea to start one myself. And
Wow.
I realized how many African American women are out there who are divorced and who are looking for support groups like the one that I'm giving, and it's just been going great. So yes, that's how I came up with
Awesome.
She's Understood, because I want our women to know that we are understood. Sometimes we do feel like we're not understood, but we are definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. How long were you married?
I was married for about 13 years.
Wow.
I was married for
Okay.
about 13 years. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
was off and on with that relationship. But you know what? At the end, I had to realize I have to do what's best for me
Yeah.
mentally and physically. So I had to definitely get out of that situation just to
Mm-hmm.
better myself, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes us as women, even some men, but we don't want to leave marriages because it's divorce is kind of like taboo in
Mm-hmm.
certain situations, so
Yeah.
we're afraid of what everyone else might think. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the top reasons why a lot of people are afraid to leave marriages.
Yeah.
That and financial issues is definitely one of the top ones as well, why we
Right.
can't leave our marriages, unhealthy relationships.
Yeah. And that's definitely understood because I've been divorced since 2018 and we were married for 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because of his status and who he is, because he's a pastor, like, oh my God, you the first lady, like you're leaving the pastor, like, yeah, because at home he is not who you see I see who he is at home. And despite what me sharing how I feel, and I really didn't want people to know. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of fell off the grid and just was gone. And
Right.
people didn't know what was going on because of that. I don't want it's taboo. Like, oh my goodness, and especially not the church. Like, really? Oh no, I need this for my sanity's sake because I
Yeah.
had signs to let me know if I don't do this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to survive. Not that he was
Mm-hmm.
doing anything physical to me, he wasn't, because he would not be living to tell the story. But I knew my health. Like my
Right.
health was going down. So like, oh no. And I don't care that I have kids. They weren't biologically his, but
Yeah.
at the time, like, but I gotta go. I got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that you created the organization. So once you got started, how what kind of response did you get immediately? Was it a lot of response?
Well, I just put a flyer out there, and I put the group on the website, and let people just started reserving spots, and I started realizing how important the how important the group actually is, and
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had women tell me, wow, we've been looking for this,
Wow.
and I've actually they went on Eventbrite. That's where I put all my events at.
Mm-hmm.
They go on Eventbrite, and they said we was actually looking for this. We've been looking for groups like this. And I was like, I'm gonna just keep going with it. It's
Yeah.
definitely needed. And it's not just for my sisters. I call them my sisters. It's
Mm-hmm.
for myself as well, because I need that support as well, going through with what I'm going through. And like you mentioned, April, no one knew what was going on. One thing my ex-husband told me, he said, you never show other people outside what's going on inside.
Mm.
So, you always got to have a smiling face outside,
Yeah.
so that's all a lot of people were seeing was that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't imagine that the person is how they are. They're
Yeah.
one way out, they one way around other people and one way behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. You are me and I am you, because it was the same way. Because I think about when we would go to church or when we would go to events or when we would be around other people, I was the loving, doting wife and could do no wrong. And then as soon as we got in the car, it's like, why am I still here? Because
Right.
I knew what it was going to be like. So why are you putting up this front? But there were some, because I have a really close friend of mine that lives in California, and we were in the same church, same church sector and travel and stuff. And she knew despite me being upbeat and everything. She said, April, I knew. I never
Mhm.
said anything because it wasn't my place, but I knew, like, oh my God. So you can fool some people, but you can't fool everybody, because there's some people that see right through that.
It's like
Yeah.
a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Well, here's my
Yes.
question though. Do you really need to keep that under wraps? Like, I'm in a place in my life right now where I am living my truth unapologetically.
Mhm.
So if I'm not happy, I'm not pretending like I am, and I'm not going to lie and say I am, and I'm not. So where exactly does that put you, on the spectrum of things when it comes to that? Like, how exactly do you have some of these hard conversations that, sometimes will lead to divorce because you realize that y'all are not on the same page?
Right.
Mhm. I definitely understand that, but it's like you're older now, right? So you understand a little bit more. For me, for my situation, I when I got with my ex-husband, I was 14 years old.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
it's like, and he was 20. So it kind of molded me a little bit to be the person who he wanted me to be. So I
Mm.
didn't have my own thought process. I always tried to do what he wanted me to do,
Mhm.
until I got a little bit older and I started realizing this is not right. You
Mhm.
leave the relationship a couple times, but then you go back, but then it comes this final straw when you really don't care what no one thinks. You're
Yeah.
just going to do it because you have to make yourself happy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's like you're dying inside
Yes.
because you're trying to make this person happy
Yeah.
and you're not happy at all.
Yes.
So it comes a point where you just like, enough is enough. We
Mhm.
we got to separate, you know. But then
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't benefit you as a person that wants the divorce, because now you got to think about certain things, like this person was he took all care of all the finances and stuff
Mhm.
like that. You know, I got to leave this now. So now I have to
Yeah.
figure out how I'm going to move on and move forward on
Right.
my own, and possibly be a single parent, because that
Mhm.
tends to happen sometimes. Your spouse doesn't know how to co-parent sometimes.
Right.
They don't, sometimes you think they will want to be there for the children, but then you realize, is it for the kids really?
Mm.
Or was it because of me? But now we're separated. You start realizing if they can't be with you, they're not going to be there at all. Some people are like that, but it's different situations with a lot of people.
Yeah. I think too, for me personally, I wasn't in a place where I had dealt with some things from my past, some trauma from my past.
Mhm.
So it's almost like I needed to be with somebody. I just needed that comfort or whatever to know that I had a spouse, because I always wanted to be married and
Right.
live this great life. But when you realize who you've chosen wasn't who you needed to choose,
Mm,
but I had to get to when I finally broke free, then I had to do the work on April. And
right.
that's where it really worked, because at that
Mhm.
time I wasn't in that place. I was just dealing with it. I wasn't happy at all, and I was just dealing with it. But
Mhm.
when I had finally broke free, like, you know what, now I'm going to live my life like I want to. I
Right.
got a therapy. Like, I need some therapy, because not only do I need to deal with this, I need to deal with what happened years and years ago that I never
Mhm.
addressed, I never dealt with. So
True.
now, I mean, I'll cut folks off. Like, I'll burn
Mhm.
the bridge so fast, like, gone, to set it on fire. But I had to. There was an esteem level for me that my self-esteem was low, 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 very low, and I didn't think. And then became a single parent. Like, how am I
Mhm.
going to do this? I already have kids. What am I going to do? But I had to get to the
Right.
point where I don't care. I don't care what people think. I don't care what you say what you want to, because you're going to say it if I do good. You're going to talk if I do bad. It
Right.
doesn't matter. As long at the end of the day, when I get in my bed, that I'm happy with me and where I am and my growth and my progress, and I'm not
Mhm.
getting involved in anything I don't want to, I'm cool with it. I'm cool. But
Absolutely. I
you
was like,
got,
let's talk about how important it is to heal, regardless of what side of the divorce you're on, whether you're the one that is asking for the divorce or you're the one that is being served with that as an option.
Mhm.
Um, because I know that, it brings both ends, come with a whole lot. And how exactly do you process this thing? And, a lot of us always say, like, let me get back to me. Well, the reality is, for instance, like you, Latoya, like you were in a marriage for 13 years.
Mhm.
That's not a get back to you.
Right.
Let's let me almost reinvent
I
myself.
gotta
Let me
find me.
learn
I have
exactly.
to find me.
Exactly.
yeah,
And what that type of space looks like, because I know a lot of people, especially when you're on the giving end of that divorce, it's like, you know what, like you're saying, April, like I'm ready to get out of this. I'm ready to do something else. But then at the same time, we are also in a space where we still want to be able to be loved. We still want that companionship. We still want to be with someone. And we find
yeah,
ourselves leaving from one thing and going straight into something else.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Definitely, you don't, like I said, I was with this person since I was 14 years old. So how much did I know about myself? You
Hmm.
know, so it just for in my case, for the my ex, it just was never enough. No matter how much you do, sometimes it's just never enough. You
Mm.
try to do everything for the person, but again, it's never enough. And then you got to figure out, like, well, I'm unhappy. I need to find myself. I had to start really going out there and try to figure out what I like to do.
Hmm.
Who am I? You know, it's definitely still a work in progress with me. So but I know that I want to help with other women as well that that has went through what I'm going through and what I have went through. So
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's definitely a learning process every day. It's something I'm working on, still learning who I am as Latoya.
Yeah.
So
How was that process of you learning you?
it's how is that process? It's not an easy one,
Mm-hmm.
because you tend to have to do many different things just to see who you are.
Mm-hmm.
As even if it goes to jobs, you try to work on different things just to find out what you like because you never really knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to try different things and just be a part of where you see yourself going
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of that company of people.
Yeah.
But
Did
it's
you
definitely not easy.
did you find that some of the things that you discovered about yourself that you like, or were there just things that you found out, oh, I really need to work on this? Or were there some things like, oh, I like this about me. I never even knew I was like that.
Right. Many of things I realize that I enjoy doing that I like,
Hmm.
but like I said, we just gotta. It's just how it is. It's definitely a learning experience along the way, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had said something earlier about jumping out of one and then going into another situation. And I did that,
Mhm.
shortly, it was probably a year, and I hadn't really started doing any work on myself, that I got into something else that was worse than what I was in before.
Mhm.
And when events took place, I was like, why am I even in this? Like, I just
Mhm.
need to take 10 steps backwards and
Right.
just shut all of this down and let me do some work on me. Like, I recognize that. But
Mhm.
as I know, as I began to evolve into who I was, things that I like that I didn't realize that I like, you know what? I'm going to dress this way because I like dressing this way.
Mhm.
And it makes me feel good about me. But then when I had to deal with that hard stuff, that
Mhm.
trauma, all that, and really speak that stuff out my mouth and deal with it, it was like, whoa, this is a lot right here. So there was a lot of days of like
Mhm.
ugly crying in the therapist's office. Like, I
Mhm.
can't even believe it. But when I first started going, like, I was hyperventilating. I don't ever do that. I've never done that before in my life, to the point where it felt like my throat was closing up, that I couldn't talk because I was so like, this is my first time really talking about things and dealing with stuff. I said, okay, that's my sign right there that I need to deal with some things before I jump into anything else. So that process for me, I had the good, and I ask you that because I've had the good and the not so good. The
Right.
stuff that I enjoyed discovering about me, and then the other stuff, it was like, ooh, I
Mhm.
know I need to deal with this, but I'm not liking how that how this feels
Right.
right now.
So just like you said, you went to the therapist and you cried. I went to therapy as well. But you know what I found? I found that everything the therapist told me, I already knew this stuff. Like it's like we still want that to be clarified of
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. But we know what's going on and we know what's wrong. We know what's right. We know what we need to change. But it's just on how we're gonna do it. That's the
Yeah,
only thing. So yes.
yeah, that process, and you have to go through the process. And sometimes the steps that you need to take and things you have to do, they're not fun. There, because I delayed on doing some things, some exercises that would help me. I delayed, like, no, I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to deal with that. And eventually it came around again to where that was the key to me completely dealing with stuff and letting it go. I had that one thing would be more effective than me trying something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, dealing with that, there it worked for me. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't, but I'm at the point now where I don't need to go. But if she knows, she's there if I need her. But yeah. So let me see.
I,
I have some people saying some stuff on here.
Yeah.
Nicole says it's a daily process, sometimes minute by minute, especially in the beginning. Absolutely. And Rosalind said, divorce, worst pain I've ever experienced in life. But let me tell you, God heals the brokenhearted. And one day I woke to my best life. So there is as they say, a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a rainbow. There is greater on the other side of it. And I went in it being optimistic. Like at first I was like, oh God, what is this gonna look like? How is this gonna be? But now I wouldn't trade it. My only regret is not doing it sooner.
Wow.
My only regret is not recognizing and doing what I needed to do sooner.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely separation, divorce, whatever you want to call it. It's like you're mourning a death when you separate. It's definitely like someone has died for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And it's like
Yeah.
one is a pain that you wouldn't want to wish on anyone, but once you keep going, you realize it's okay. You can keep
Mhm.
moving forward and you will be okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes you even feel so much better, like a weight has lifted off of your shoulders, like you're able to sleep. Some people not able to sleep. You're able to sleep. You're able to function.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to all of that.
I'm a firm believer in well, I can be transparent. Marriages, none of them are easy. Some will say it comes with the manual, depending on how it is. But trying to navigate what works for you, I think, is one of the hardest things that you have to do. And what I've at least learned in the last 5 years is before you're ready to say divorce, before you're ready to have that conversation, I think it's necessary to deal with some of your own stuff, because marriage, just like parenthood, is full of mirrors. And half the time we don't like the stuff that our spouse is doing because it's mirroring something that we're doing, or it's mirroring something that has happened to us in childhood. So like Latanya was saying, her second divorce led her to therapy because she had to deal with how it ended in trauma. Trauma is rooted in a lot of things. And, if you're going to get yourself to a place where you're going to have to actually grieve this relationship, the severing of the relationship, then I urge you to make sure that you've gone through the steps to make sure that this is what you want to do. Because I was watching some reel on Instagram about a week or so ago, and the man was talking about how a lot of marriages these days are very, very transactional. There is a lack of unconditional, there's a lack of empathy, there's a lack of a lot of things that actually would cause some longevity in the relationship. So because of those things, we're a lot easier, or faster to just be like, no, I'm going to get a divorce, no, I'm going to get a divorce, no, I'm going to get a divorce. I know when I was going through postpartum depression, everything that was going on, the easiest thing for me to say was, okay, you know what, I'm out. This is not working for me. But at the same time, like I said, it was easier because it was like, I just need to remove myself from the situation. So that was the best thing that I thought, was going on at the time. But at no point in time did I deal with what was going on with me at all. So now I'm ready to put what was going on me on my marriage. And at no point in time was I even able to articulate what was going on postpartum wise to my partner in order to see whether or not he can or cannot help me, or would go get some help to be able to help me. So
Right.
how do you in your group sessions, I guess, help foster, have these kind of like real conversations? Because it's like, listen, I support you through this journey if this is what you feel is going to be the best for you, because that's the kind of decision you need to make. But I also urge you to make sure that you make a healed or healing and intentional decision about this relationship versus just based upon your feelings at the moment.
So basically, the support group are women who already are divorced.
Okay.
So it's more of a healing right now, moving forward. So that's what we're just offering, healing and support.
So in that healing and support, do you get people who regret divorce because of a lack of knowing where they were or understanding where they were, or even, understanding where their partner might have been coming from. And so now that's more of the grief rather than just really grieving the ending of the relationship.
Not necessarily of the women who think that it's mostly women who are trying to move forward and work through being divorced right now. So those are the women that I'm actually have came in contact with. No women who feel like, oh, it was my fault. They just have some they've been in the bad situations and they're trying to move forward and just figure out their next steps right now. So that's what I'm offering the support to those women. And if they need to get something done, I just want them to know, like, you need to go get your ID, your driver's license, but you just been laid up and stuff. No, go make those steps to better yourself. Let's try to take steps to better ourselves at this situation, at this moment in time, in these situations.
So do they have varying lengths of time that they've been divorced? Do you have some that are newly divorced or some that have been divorced for years and maybe never dealt with it or had an opportunity or a platform or a place for them to discuss and heal? Does it vary the women that are in the group?
It definitely does vary. We have some that have been divorced for a long period of time and some who have been divorced for a short period of time, but it still affects them.
Mm, hmm.
So it's still affecting them. I also bring in specialists because I just want y'all to know I have no degrees in this area. I'm no specialist. I just provide the safe space for the women
Hmm.
to come
As,
and vent. Because they
as has,
definitely need that. They need to be able to vent. Because, like I said, sometimes you
yeah,
can't speak to your family members, you can't
right,
speak to your friends. They don't necessarily understand.
yeah.
So it's best to come to a group of women who understand where you're coming from and who is going through the same thing.
Right. Your family and your friend, they're biased because they want what's best for you and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to always be on your side. I talked with a friend of mine last night and he's dealing with the situation with, and they're not married, but you would think that they were how they are. And he said that a friend of his is, his friend's wife is a therapist and I said, well, I don't know about going there because she might be a little, more on your side and not be, you need someone that's just not in it
Bias.
or don't know anything that
Mm-hmm.
you could just come in fresh because just like you said, your family and your friends, like, nah, there's a lot of stuff I didn't tell my family. A
Right.
lot of stuff I didn't tell my friends. Like, no, because I know y'all are gonna jump on my bandwagon, and the next thing you know, y'all gonna try to posse up and go make a trip. No, I don't need that. I don't need that. We just gonna leave it. Let me talk to someone who doesn't know anything of what's going on. Let me deal with that. So you providing that safe space for them to come in and get that support from one another, that is so important because I never had that. I didn't at
Mm-hmm.
all. And I want to go back to something you said about when people divorce, how it's like a death. Now I might be the exception to the rule because I was like, I'm done. I'm
Mm-hmm.
done with that. Let me just move on. Did I want that to happen twice? I didn't, but I wasn't like doubled over crying, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened,
Mm-hmm.
or in
Right.
despair, like, okay, I need to figure this out. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those, I can't, there again, I didn't deal with stuff when I needed to. So maybe if I had dealt with it at that time, I'd have felt all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just pushed it to the side. Like, I can't deal with that right now. I got to make sure these kids are taken care of. I got to make sure I have a place to stay. And I got to do all of this other stuff. So definitely deal with it at the
Mm-hmm.
time of it happening. That's really important. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you created that space for them to come where they don't have to wait years and years and years. For those that are new to it, they can come and get the support that they need right away. And then, so the specialists that you bring in have the degree and all the training for that. So that's great if
Right.
they're available to talk with them. That's always good. We need more of that.
I definitely feel like a professional's advice is always needed. We could sit there and chat it up all the time, but like I said, I'm not the professional, so I
Right.
bring in the professionals to give their advice as well. But real quick, like you mentioned, April, sometimes our family turn on us and make us feel like
Mm.
it's our fault.
Oh,
That
wow.
our marriage has, that's not in my case, but in some women cases, it's like that. They
Wow.
make you feel like it is your fault that you're not in this marriage. And when I say death, not just that person not being there, the finances go as well. So
Hmm.
it's like you losing half of your household income that you have to figure out how to get back. It's
Yeah.
like you become a single parent.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
definitely something that you have to get used to. And a lot of us women, we need to learn how to speak up.
Hmm.
We need to learn how to speak up for ourselves. And we probably wouldn't be in these situations as long as
Yeah.
we are in them.
Right.
I so I always love to play devil's advocate. I'm also a person that believes that you don't, like you were saying, April, need to have friends that are going to jump on your bandwagon. I have friends that if I call and I tell them whatever kind of story about whatever is going on, no, none of my friends are the first to take my side. My friends are the ones to, first off, they know me in the sense of I'm gonna tell you the whole story. I'm not that kind of person that's just gonna tell you what he did and not tell you what I did probably beforehand to start the whole thing in the first place. Like, no, I need you to have the whole context of things. And I have both male and female platonic friends that I could call and have these conversations with, and they'll be the first ones to be like, no, Morgan, you were wrong.
Mm.
Or Morgan, did you think about it this way? Or Morgan, if I said to you, blah, 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 how would you feel? And being able to have that kind of conversation, not because they're siding with him or they're siding with me, but to honestly give perspective to it, because that's typically why you're calling anyway. You know what I mean? Because if you're really just trying to vent, it's like, listen, girl, I just need to get this off my chest, and that's how you go with it, and no one is coming at you asking any thought-provoking questions. But I feel like in a space where, once again, there is death, like this is real, you
Hmm.
can't be so light with certain things. So I agree. There are certain people that you can't call and have conversations with about your marriage or what's going on. But then there should be in your inner circle, especially when you get married, people that you can come to that are going to be completely unbiased, regardless of whom they might have a closer relationship to or be a little bit more invested in, to be like, nah, y'all were wrong, or y'all need to sit down and have this conversation, or would you even like me to be the mediator? Like, I feel like divorce wouldn't be so prevalent sometimes too if we let the right people into our marriage, because it's not meant to just be really between two people. It's
Right.
not. It's a village thing. If we look at just culturally, in lots of countries in Africa, like, it's a family thing. The families are marrying the families, and the families are having conversations. So when the wife is doing something crazy, both sides of the families is looking at the wife like, yo, what exactly are you doing? Just the same as they would be looking at the husband. There's another element of accountability that's in
Mhm.
there rather than just willy-nilly. I feel like we've taken the family out of a lot of different places until everybody just goes sit down in a corner and mind your business, versus actually being a part of the whole thing.
Right.
Hmm.
Speaking up and letting
Yeah.
that person know that they're wrong. You know, I never had a problem with, like Morgan said, like, tell me if I'm wrong or right. I want you to see the full picture and not just half the picture, because that's when people get it twisted and confused.
Right.
So you need to see the
Yeah.
whole picture and let me know for sure.
Yeah, I was like, 'cause
Yeah.
have you ever been in that space where you be like, yo, am I tripping? Like, is it just
Right.
me, or is
Mhm.
it like this situation is crazy. Like, I want somebody to be like, nah, Morgan, you're not crazy. Like, that's really wrong. And I'm going to need you to figure that out quick and in a hurry. You know what I mean? How do you coach women? So I know there are a lot of times where in these conversations with other people, there are folks who will tell you to leave your partner. How do you talk to people about, you know, that? There's just like, well, you shouldn't be married to that person anymore. You should leave. You should get a divorce. How do you deal with, or is that a conversation in your group now that these women are divorced, where it's like, you know, people are still having opinions about what's going on with how they're dealing with the, you know, divorce now, or the relationship that they have with their spouse now, and the decisions that they're making on the other side of things, especially when there's kids and stuff involved.
Right. I honestly, I think that you know what's going on in your relationship. I don't necessarily need someone else to tell me, oh, you should divorce this person. I think you as a person should sit down and look at all the pros and cons of your relationship and figure out if that's something that you actually want to still continue to be a part of.
Yeah.
You know, you have to definitely look at your relationship. And even a lot of people, they stay because of the kids and they're so unhappy. Some people wait till the kids go off to college before they get separated. You know what I'm saying? It's like you wait that long just to get separated and you're not happy for 15 years, 18 years.
Yeah.
And trust me, the kids feel it. The kids
feel it because you're arguing in front of the children. They see it. They see the back and forth with the parents, you know, but you think they don't. These kids know everything.
Yeah. And even if you're not arguing or doing anything in front of the kids, they feel that energy.
They feel it.
They see the looks that you don't think anybody see. They see the facial expression. They feel that
energy. Yeah.
All of that, you don't think, oh, well, we don't do anything in front of them. Well, you don't have to. They feel it.
You actually do, because like you said, it's the tension and everything, and they definitely feel it. And you have to realize you think you're doing your best for the children, but you're not.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We definitely have to.
My comment section is popping over here.
Mine is too, like lit.
Let's see. I agree with not masking your true, authentic emotions. It doesn't have to be broadcasted, but it definitely isn't a secret. There isn't enough talk and focus on the gray areas. I also agree with Mirrors. The kind of reflection or work that people have to do within themselves isn't something many people are ready for. And then she said, facts. You've always been I love you too, sis. That's my sister, Shanae. So you've always been a sound person in my life. Well, I mean, that she has been that person too, you know, and it's hard to tell people certain things, you know. Look, like I said, this is my sister. We have been friends for at least, I don't know, my oldest is like 13, so at least 14 years. And I remember when she was talking about getting married to her now husband, and having a conversation with her going, listen, you know, I love you. I support you wholeheartedly. But if you get married right now, I'm not coming to the wedding. That's a very hard thing to say to someone. But the reality was, I knew what she wanted and where she was. And also being friends with her husband at the same time too, I knew where he was and what he was doing. And that wasn't something that when you show up to a wedding, that is you being in agreement with that union. So if you're not in agreement with it, don't show up. And that's a hard place to be in, because like that's my sister. That's my heart. Like, she's been through a lot of different things with me. So to be able to say that, but she was like, you know what, I can appreciate that. And then the two of them went back and actually did some work before they went and actually got married. And that for me is something where I'm like, at least y'all know, like, you went through some stuff, you dealt with some things that might not have even allowed you to be together, you know, for this long. So, you know, being intentional, especially in the first part of things, can sometimes help you not necessarily have to be on this end, or at least you have more of a starting point, because life is life and people are going to do things. You grow. I'm sure in 13 years of marriage, how many versions of you were there?
Many.
Exactly.
Many.
And that was just for you evolving in the person that you were. Like, at what age did you get married?
About 19.
So yeah, so 19. So 19, like that's still very much coming into yourself, really trying to figure out how do you portray who you feel like you are to
Right.
other people. And now, like you said, adding that dynamic of having someone who was definitely older than you and now trying to mold you more in their image versus allowing you to have that autonomy. I can understand how there's so much friction in there because autonomy is something else too that lacks in those marriages where it's like, you sometimes think that you know more or better for someone than they know for themselves,
Right.
even if that's something that you don't, agree with.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think for me, the unfortunate part with my situation is I didn't have friends in an inner circle that I could have a conversation with to say, okay, April, why maybe you need to look at it this way. I didn't have that. So I went through and suffered alone.
Mm.
And that was hard for me because I
Mhm.
really and truly wanted at least one or two good girlfriends that I could call, like, hey, this is what's going on. And am I wrong? So I had to just rely on what I felt and what I
Mhm.
thought. Now I have what I wanted and needed years ago. I have that now. So I know Morgan is in my inner circle and she's not gonna let me jump and do nothing crazy.
That's
Like, no, sis, we're not doing that. But there are people that they're women and men too, because divorce be for either
yeah.
side don't have the support that they need
Right.
to bounce these things off. Like you said, Morgan, is it me? Am I crazy? Like, am
Mhm.
I doing something wrong? Hold me accountable. What is my did I mess up? I remember when I was getting ready to divorce my first husband, I had already left him. He had my daughter was almost 2, and I had just found out I was pregnant. And so all I had was prayer. And I'm like, okay, God, listen. I need you to show me me. And that's what I said. I never forget it because I the same prayer twice. Show me. If I did anything to make this marriage be where it was, show it to me and I'll go back and I'll make amends and I'll make it right and I'll stay with him. And every single time he showed me what he was doing, all of the things that he was doing that was against our marriage covenant. So I'm like, okay, well, I obviously didn't believe what I was seeing, so I had to go back again and pray the same prayer again. I wanted to make sure. Like, God, I want to make sure I'm seeing this right.
She
So
said, Lord, I'm gonna put my glasses on. Let me put my
Yeah,
glasses on.
exactly.
I see it right. I did it again, and then he and I had a phone call. And I heard somebody clanking on pots in the background. And I'm like, who is that? Because we still married. Are we separated? But we still, what? Who is that? Oh, and he said who it was. I'm like, oh, so it was his friend. But we were friends. I said, oh, let me talk to him. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but I couldn't. He wouldn't let me talk to him. I said, well, whoever she is on the pot that we got married. Tell her I hope she's enjoying that. Silence, absolute silence. I knew then this is a done deal, done.
Mhm.
And then he wants to act shocked when I put in his hands. Are you serious? You seriously? You shocked? Are you really? No, no. But I didn't. I had to go based on what I had available, and that was all I had. But now that I've matured and changed and went through the process, like I'm not going through all those changes anymore. I'm not. And I have people that say, now let me tell you what happened here. What you think about this? What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm not getting ready to mess up another time. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question that says, how are you able to hold men accountable for their actions and decisions that caused divorce or why they chose to divorce in your group?
Mm.
Honestly, we really can't hold anyone accountable for anything. If you really think about it, you could try as much as you can, but unless that person really wants to change or do, they're not going to do anything.
So you're not
Mhm.
sitting here in the group with the blame game kind of thing, but this is more of, like you were saying, a resource. Like, let's get up, let's move to the other side. How do we
Right.
recover from this here.
Right.
Okay,
It's
that's
just
good
how
to know.
can we recover? Because, like you said, life is life, and we can't worry about what someone else is doing for us to
Hmm.
keep moving forward. We
Yeah.
just can't. We just gotta move forward and
Hmm.
make the best of it for ourselves. We can't
Yeah.
focus on somebody else.
Yeah. Because
We
it's at
can't, we
that
can't
point in
make no
time,
one do anything if they don't
yeah.
want to.
Right.
Yeah, because it's about you at that point. Like
Yeah.
you spent whatever length of time you were married focusing on the other person and making them happy and trying to make this home and do this and leaving you behind. So now, even in divorce, we still gonna try to no, no, I'm gonna leave that. Let me focus on me. Let me get me together. So
Right.
that's important because if these women, and I'm sure many of them have kids, they have
Hmm.
to be healed and whole for those children. Not
Right.
only for themselves, but for their children. Like, how are
Hmm.
you going to effective with them if you haven't if you still focusing on, well, he never said he was sorry, he never held himself accountable, and he never accepted what he did wrong. Like,
If you
yeah, but
focus on that, now you're neglecting your children's feelings.
mhm,
And you can't do that. You got to let them know that I love you, I'm here for you, even though me and your parent is going through this. It has nothing to do
yeah,
with you, because kids will take the blame many times thinking it's their
yeah,
fault. But
Yeah,
us as parents, we got to be there and let them know it's not them.
yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, I think I kind of understand that question a little bit in the sense of I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and she was on the phone with her ex-husband, and she was asking him to do something for the kids or something like that. And he made a remark like, um, something like, well, I wasn't the one who pretty much got us into this situation in the first place.
oh wow,
Hmm.
And that brought up now her wanting to hold him accountable. Like, yeah, I might have been the one who filed for divorce, but it was you who did X, Y, and Z. It was you, like, it was all of your actions that caused us to get here. It wasn't
mhm,
just because I woke up one day and was like, nah, I don't like you anymore.
Right.
Let's get a divorce. Like, there were some things that
do the build up,
transpired that got
Right.
us here. You know what
Right.
I
yeah,
mean? So that was like that level of accountability, but you're 100% right. Cause you're right. You can't hold nobody accountable. My therapist, he
mhm,
always laughs because he's like, most of the people that he has ends up being women, and they all want to do, because he offers couples therapy. He was like, they all want to do couples therapy, but the reality is the only reason why men show up to couples therapy is because their wife made them.
Hmm.
It
Right.
mm,
typically is not because
They
they are
want
over
to.
here trying to figure out what work that they have to do and these things. And that's not saying that there aren't some self-aware men, and there's the opposite.
Mhm.
But it is mostly women who are coming to the table saying, okay, first off, am I crazy? Second off, like you said, asking questions that we already kind of know the answer to, because deep down inside, your spirit, your gut, your soul, your everything is telling you either this ain't right, you need to say
mhm,
something, or you need to leave. Like, your body tells you the things
Right.
that it's supposed to be. I know, in many of episodes that we've talked about, April, you talked about specifically how physically your relationships took a toll on you, even health wise. So when we look at these kind of things and we start to, as Gigi was saying, ignore what is being told to us, that's how we end up in these long relationships and trying to get people to be held accountable for all these other things that they can't be.
yeah. I had that same
Sure.
thing happen. You were talking about, well, you did this, you did this. Well, my ex-husband did that. So when I had him served, he called and he was livid. He was like, "You did this, you did this." Oh, okay, I did. Yes, I did file and have you served, but it's because of what you did, your actions, and you didn't listen when I tried to share how I felt and what I would like for us to do. Then all of a sudden, oh, we want to go to council. Nope. We've been there, done that, and it was a waste of time and money. No thanks, I'm good. I'm good.
Like your
So
actions are the cause of my reaction. So now that's that.
that's right.
That's
That
it.
is that. Rosalind said sometimes you have to move forward with the apology that you'll never get. Yeah,
Won't.
you won't. My
You
first
know,
husband has not apologized,
no.
and my second husband has, but he knows that I appreciate your apology, but that's
Doesn't
that's
That's what
just
it
change.
was, an apology.
Right. Right.
Right, right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Latanya said, "I've learned my recovery depends on me, holding myself accountable, healing, and strengthening what remains." I think that is perfect answer for what the clarification. So the question that was just asked was by a man, and so he goes, "It's not about blame. I'm a man, and it's about acknowledging what each person has done and giving them clarity on themselves." So for clarity, if I was in your group, how would you get me to self-reflect and see stuff I'm not seeing if all I do is point fingers?
Mm,
So that's a good question. So in your group, well, and I know that I'm assuming that it's all women.
Yes.
Your group, yes. Okay, so women, I was like, of course, we sit here, we can point fingers all day. We have no problem doing that. So, like, in that situation, how do you have those now divorced women who are sitting here pointing the finger with he? How do you also turn it around and be like, okay, I understand all the things that he did, but let's also take a look at you.
Right.
mhm.
Like Latonia said, you have to hold yourself accountable for the actions that had happened in your relationship. It's
Yeah.
not always a he. Obviously, it's some disconnect going on in that relationship. So you definitely have to step back and look at yourself and figure out what role did you play in it and how you're going to
Mhm.
fix it for sure.
Yeah. Well, how is self-awareness, I guess, fostered within your group with your professional? Because there's like self-awareness is funny enough, it's not common.
It's not.
The
It's
average person loves to, as you were saying, April, take all of those things that we need to deal with and kind of just stuff them in the back and not really deal with them.
Right.
So how is that a part, or is that a part of the healing process in your group?
it's definitely a part of the healing process. But again, the conversation goes, we have to look at ourselves and
Mhm.
figure out what part we have played in the problem and acknowledging that it was a problem. And 9 times out of 10, we played a part of that.
Mhm.
So we definitely have to figure out how to fix that
Yeah.
with
I
ourselves. It definitely can go like April said, from childhood, you
yeah.
know. So we definitely it goes far back sometimes, and we definitely have to sit back and just try to figure it out and work through it.
I did that for myself in this last divorce. Like, look, I self-examined. What
Yes,
did I do? You know
yes,
what I did? I didn't speak up.
yeah,
I didn't say anything. That's
right.
what I did. It wasn't that I wasn't being the wife that I was supposed to be
Hmm.
and being there and being supportive. I didn't speak up enough, and I didn't speak up for me.
Right.
And I just allowed him to do what he did. And I took that
Hmm.
until the nervous breakdown almost happened. Like, here I am in front of my kids, like about to just lose it.
Hmm.
My hair was falling out, my blood pressure through the roof, and migraines every day. And my doctor's looking at me like, oh my God, I need to
Hmm.
figure out what to do with her.
Right.
That's what I didn't do. I didn't say anything. And I went day in and day out, and I would just suppress that stuff until my body said, no more. I'm
Hmm.
done. I'm not doing this anymore. So, sometimes for some women, it's not that they did anything per se,
It's
but
true.
they didn't
But they
speak.
But
didn't.
they didn't
They
speak up for
didn't speak.
themselves. So
Yes,
and that's where the acknowledgement had to come. You have to look in yourself, say, well, I didn't speak up for myself. If we
hmm,
don't speak up for ourselves, who's going to speak up for us?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we gotta. That's one thing women have to learn. Even some men, but
Yeah.
how
Absolutely.
how
I
to
was like,
speak up.
absolutely. And just because you are an extrovert or outspoken doesn't mean that that's how you show up in your relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, until probably about a year ago, I was definitely that person that didn't speak up. I didn't speak up about anything. I let certain things fly. And then the only time you would hear about it is now we're into this like big argument, and now it's just like, okay, fine, I'm about to regurgitate all the last 25 things that you just did that I probably should have said when you did them, but because I was more scared about how you were going to react or how you were going to invalidate what I'm bringing to the table, that it was just easier for me to just be quiet.
Yeah.
Now what I've done is built up resentment. I've built up animosity. I've almost even become bitter. And so now at this point in time, yeah, it's real easy for me to chuck the deuces.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, the love is gone, the trust is gone, the everything is gone. And I don't even actually like the way that you look. Like, it's crazy how that changes. Like, your feeling will change everything about a person, you know?
Right.
And once you figure out where you were the one who faltered, if you haven't gotten to that divorce part yet, it's like, are you now implementing these changes to see exactly, is this something that I should stay in, or should I be to the left? You know what I mean? Figuring
Right.
out.
I would have loved to have had some men on here too, from the male perspective. You men that are watching, you guys should have been on here. Good Lord.
Exactly. Look, Dre's in here. I was like, pop it on in there, Dre.
Come on in. Yes, somebody need to send them the link. If you
want
to,
I was like, Dre, if you want to get in, I was like, text me real quick, and I was like,
yes, if you are man
in
watching and you want to get in on this conversation, come on with us. Hey, say something, and we will send you the link, because this is a good conversation that we really don't discuss like we should. Yeah.
Like, even now, I find myself sometimes not speaking up. But then what does that do? It just builds up and builds up and builds up. So at this point, I'm like, just say it. Like, they either gonna accept it or they not. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the worst that could happen? You know, you got to speak up for yourself, and we have to protect ourselves for sure.
But remember, a lot of us walk around with a serious fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And putting your feelings out there to the one person that you feel like is supposed to care, and then they don't, or they're a narcissist, or they just really don't care.
Right.
I feel like sometimes that's almost the hurt that prepares you for divorce. Because it only gets worse from there. You know what I mean? So it's like, if that's something, but there are some people too where that feeling is synonymous to how they grew up. And there are a lot of times where I know I was like, wait a minute, well, why am I feeling like this? Like, I always like to tell the story about like me flipping out over the dishes one day. And I was just like, I've never been that person, but I most definitely will flip out over the dishes after I done cleaned the kitchen. I done did all of this stuff, and I done walked out, and now I come in the morning and there's like one plate, one fork.
Why? Like, why?
Like, you couldn't wash that? But what I realized is that was something that happened from my childhood. And my mom was the one that when she told you to clean, you remember how our moms used to tell us to clean the kitchen. So it was like, that's the counter. That's making sure everything is done. If you missed a spot, my mom was surely waking me up at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about, ma'am, there's dishes in the sink. And I was like, wait a minute, I could have sworn, only to come to find out that it might have been my dad who fell asleep in the middle of eating. And then when he finally came upstairs from the basement because he was watching the game or, was doing whatever, now he just went and put it in the sink. But now I'm over here like, really though, 2 o'clock in the morning, you gotta be waking me up. So that feeling of me as a child transcended into my marriage. And now I'm over here holding my husband accountable for something that really had nothing to do with him in the first place.
Right.
So that's what dealing with the past. Dealing with that past is vital, because you bring that stuff into your whatever it is. It could be what Morgan talked about. It could be, so like Tasha said, not speaking up for ourselves sometimes is a learned pattern. Like, I remember growing up and I was such an introvert. Like, things that happened to me, I kept it buried, and then stuff just, it starts to manifest in your life, and it manifested in areas that I didn't want it to. So here I am, like, with this person who's doing a lot of the things that I remember from childhood, and I'm back to that same pattern of not saying anything and dealing with this for 12 years. Like, are you serious? Now, I will say the first 2 to 3 years, it was like, oh, this is great. But when that third year hit, I was like, who is this?
It's so funny you say that. I was at a birthday party this weekend and we were all talking about that. We're like, I don't know what it is. Everybody talks about that 7-year itch and all this other kind of stuff. But at 3 years is when stuff really gets real. And if you can make it through the 5, then you can definitely make it through the 7. But it's like, getting through that 3 to 5.
That first, after that 3rd year, I was like, oh my God.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this work. We're gonna figure this out, we're gonna make it work. But then it never got better. It was just facade after facade, front after front. Like, oh God, this is crazy because I'm here at home and I do some bodily harm, and I know that I can't do that. But when it gets to that point, oh no, I'm done. No, I can't.
So, real quick, to go back to one of your viewers' comments when they said it stems basically from childhood. Remember when they used to tell us stay the child's place? We couldn't voice our opinions. So it could stem from that. We was always told stay the child's place and just shut us down.
That's exactly what it is. Or it's because I said so when we go to ask why for certain things. Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that you won't hear me. Like, I had a manager who said one time that people are more likely to do something if you explain to them why.
Right.
And so that I typically use that as just a life thing in general. So if there's anything that I am asking of you, I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you to do it so that I feel like you can make the most informed decision. Because if you don't want to do it based upon what I'm saying, then then at least I know why I'm asking in the first place, rather than just being like, oh, okay, you're just saying no for just saying no.
Right.
So yeah,
I feel like we in a support. I feel like we in my support group right now. She's in the support group right now. This is a conversation.
Hey, Drake, come on in the room. She says, but the question is, do you want to make it through that 7th year? That's her. She's like, do you want to?
Yes.
After that 3rd year, I was like, well.
And you know what? That is a very, very valid question. And I feel like that, I was like, once you get to that, that's like a daily thing. It is. Because just like it is a daily choice to be a parent, it is a daily choice for you to stay married. It is a daily choice for you to still love that person and to be empathetic and to bring your best self to the situation. So if you're not doing all of those things, you're absolutely right. If you feel like the work that's necessary in order to maintain this marriage is going to be way too much, sis, give it up, bro. Give it up. There's no need to be half-assing or just going through the motions for what? Like what?
That going through the motions is a waste of your time.
But I'm not going to say don't try. Come on, let
it. Right.
You try.
Absolutely.
You put in the quits, but when you realize that nothing is changing after you done. Some people done spoke up. You done spoke up and voiced your opinions, and nothing has changed multiple times.
Multiple times. Yep, absolutely.
And that's very important to at least put forth the effort. After you put forth the effort and you see it's not working and nothing is changing. Okay, then now you have you got receipts, baby. You got receipts.
Yep.
You gotta start asking yourself, how important am I to this person?
Yeah.
Yes. That was like my therapist is always like, so do you value the connection or do you value your boundary? That's what you have to start asking yourself in a lot of these things. Like is it about the connection or is it about the boundary? And if you're at a place where the boundary is more important, then you have your answer. He also said that it's not always necessary for both people to go to counseling. He was like, sometimes if one person is going to counseling and is actually doing the work, if that other person is a sound, real, mature, teachable person, they will see the changes that you are making and it will foster the change in them. You know what I mean? It might not necessarily be at the rate that you're doing it. It might not necessarily be when you want to do it, but it will most definitely make an impact. If they're not that person, then you also have that information too. It ain't going nowhere.
Andre!
Hold on. I'm trying to name this.
You're good,
oh, this is about to get good.
I'm just trying to get the screen off.
You're good. Listen, and when I tell you, my brother loves to play devil's advocate. Like, listen, for all of these years, we have some of the most thought-provoking and real conversations ever. Like, he really just brings it. He asks real good questions. Hey, bro, how you doing?
Hey, Andre. Thank you for coming on with us.
No problem. I'm all right. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all was having a good conversation. I want to make sure, as I was listening, I get some questions in because I'm getting some advice from the ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, question away.
So I know I was asking about the group, and I was just trying to figure out how does how do you hold yourself accountable, period, in or outside of a group, and realize your own faults? Do you take yourself to therapy? What type of resources do you reach out to, and different things like that? Um, Morgan knows I have a very strong personality, so when talking to men, I cut the crap out, and just let them know, like, listen, bro, this is where you messed up. This is
Mm-hmm.
how you can fix it. These are different options. I'm telling you from my personal experience, and I'm also telling you from experience that I've gotten from mentors who have been married in multiple relationships, who I do look up to, who has given me sound advice that has worked in and out of marriages, and also letting me know that it's my choice to decide to take it or not take it, and then see what those results bring me. Now, to be very honest with you, every time I haven't taken it, I still had to go back and take it.
Mm.
So now when I talk to younger men that aren't married but are in relationships, they do come back for more because it's like you know what you're talking about, but I'm also holding them accountable for them not sharing their feelings, them not sharing their emotions, them not sharing their ins and outs of what they need to share with their partner. Because it's not that you can't talk to your partner, you're choosing not to elaborate and express yourself to your partner the way you're expressing it to me. Because you know, as a man, I'm gonna understand from a man's perspective, but you're not giving her the grace to understand it just as well.
You
So
just
you
said a
have
whole
to
mouthful.
take your time to sit down and really just talk to her. And I'll just give you guys, you ladies, some context of an example of that is my brother-in-law would tell me all the time that he can't talk to his lady. You know, he's going through a lot of stress, work, all these different things. And one of the things I suggested to him after him telling me, like, his lady would always come to him and ask him questions. And he just was so stressed out that he just didn't want to be bothered. I told him to kind of role a reverse. Reverse the role in the sense of go get your lady, have her sit down on the couch with you, and you just tell her everything that you're feeling, everything you going through, right? Like express all the things that she's actually asking you that you're not answering, right? Like let her hear you. Just tell her, I want to talk to you, but I don't want you to actually respond. I want you to take
Mm.
all this information in, and then we could probably have a conversation later. But I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Everything that is weighing on my shoulders, everything that I am stressing about, everything that is going on with us, everything that is going on with me individually, everything that is going on with the kids, and everything in my life. That way, she can have answers to actually everything she's asking you that you never get to express.
Mm.
Because you express it to me, but you won't express it to her. And again, it's not that she's not going to listen or she can't hear you. It's just that you avoid it because she's the first person to always come and ask you what's going on, and you're just tired of wanting to talk to this individual. But you need to speak to her. And being that he's my brother-in-law and he sees that, listen, we go through the same struggles, man. It's not that I can't talk to your sister. It's I may choose not to because I'm trying to figure it out here. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure it out here. But she is the leading role. She will help me figure it out if I let her in, if I allow her to understand the depression, the stress, the how much is so packed on me. Um, and after doing so, the results of that helped him out tremendously. Now, does he continue? I don't know. Again, these are things that you have to make a daily or weekly thing in your life to continue to do so that it can bring you some type of peace, or it can bring you some type of understanding to each other. So
Yeah.
my question earlier about how do you hold people accountable, it's not we're not trying to blame anybody. It's about how do I hold myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what am I missing? What am I not seeing or listening to, right? Because sometimes people are so focused on the tone of the message that they completely ignore what you're actually saying because they're offended how they're being spoken to and not realizing I'm saying everything I'm saying with love. I'm saying everything I'm saying with grace. I'm not judging you because I'm not better than you. I just want you to understand that I'm looking at you and I'm saying this with love and courage because no one else has.
Right.
So
Well,
you
when you
need
say
it,
something,
but not everybody that wants to take it.
when you say something truly in love, like in love to someone, their defenses are automatically diffused. Tone is everything
Mm-hmm.
in a conversation. It's one of those first indicators. Typically, you take a tone because there's some things that aren't said. So even if you were speaking your truth, because there's some harshness to
Yeah.
that tone, that automatically, especially for women, because of the way that we are wired, it's a complete shutdown. Just the same as if I were to be yelling at you, like my husband is always just like, you talk to me, stop yelling at me. Like sometimes I'll be talking at him though because I'm so frustrated because I was like, yo, I just said this 12 times. Like, what part of what I just said didn't you get?
Right.
Yeah.
So now I'm breaking it down like that, and he shuts down. That ends up being counterproductive. So being able to have a conversation with someone, it starts at tone. But a relationship in and of itself, you have to die to ego first.
Yeah.
That's the first and only way that you can
Yes.
honestly be accountable to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to die to ego. And
Yes.
once you die to ego, then you can actually be able to stand back and almost look at yourself like in this portrait and go, oh, okay, so that's what I look like. That ain't it. That is not what I was trying to do. That ain't even who I am. And then you have no problem being able to then make that switch.
Right.
You gotta die to ego first, and ego is the biggest thing that gets people. Why? That's why we can't have conversations. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
end up defensive. That's why arguments escalate the way that it is. And sometimes it's the ego of the other person. Like, let's say it's me right now that's being extra crazy. Well, if my husband is emotionally mature and empathetic, he's not going to look at me going ape shit at this conversation or this argument right now because he's going to see, you know what? There's something in this that's bringing this extra hysterical part out in her.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pause for a second. Let me love on her. And once this comes on down, we can have this conversation again. We can
Yeah.
have this conversation differently.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't even see how to diffuse the situation and take ego out of it, so you're not taking it personally to begin
Right.
with, then both of it ends up becoming counterproductive. Now I'm over here just being hysterical because of some stuff that I need to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You over here fueling the fire because you can't hear and see what's actually going on here. You're not seeing the forest for the trees.
Right.
Right. And what I meant to clarify with tone is not tone with your partner, tone with someone else. Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
So like,
even with that, same thing. It's
yeah,
the same
same
thing
thing.
because if they're going to, so if Morgan were to come at me, so Morgan has already we talked. So she's like, okay, let me just let you know this. So if you got this precursor where you say, bruh, listen, I want you to know that I'm just here to help and I'm hearing what you're saying and I want to let you know this. And when you come like that, it already gets them in the mode of, okay, he's getting ready to give me some good information here. Let me listen to that. But if you just start spouting stuff off like you did, then they're not going to hear that. So
Right.
even with women, we're the same way. You going to come at me strong? with my personality and how I am, I'm coming back at you stronger. But if you come to me and the word choice and the tone, like you said, is a certain way, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to be receptive because I probably do need to hear this because
Mhm.
it's going to be a reality check for me.
I think though some men, I'm not to come at the men, but I think they got selective hearing. Like when you start snapping, they're gonna turn you off real quick. Like they're not gonna
Yeah,
hear half the stuff you say. So
yeah,
they definitely got selective hearing. And what Andre was saying about his brother, I
Mhm.
think is definitely sometimes I don't think they could communicate with their spouse because it's definitely like I'm a man. I shouldn't. They don't know how to show emotion,
yeah,
and no, don't know how to show emotion and feeling. It's okay for him to talk to you because you're another man. Another man. A man talks to a man, but when it comes to talking to a female, they don't know how to do that. They don't want to show that vulnerability,
yeah.
aspect of it. So it's definitely hard. And I don't think y'all like to hear what we have to say half the time. Y'all afraid of what might come out this mouth. Like,
I, I, I also gave a perspective to a married couple, and me and my wife talked about this, and I kind of used it in our relationship and said, there's this 25, 25, 25, 25 perspective.
mhm,
So the first 25 is you're sweet, meaning women or men having a conversation to your spouse addressing something, right? That first 20, you're loving. Hey, babe, can you do this? Sure, no
mhm,
problem, right? Now, when you get to 50%, you're a little irritated because we done spoke about this, and it's kind of like you're not hearing me. But the
mhm,
tone isn't demeaning. It's not assertive. It's, hey, we talked about this, what's going on, right? When you get to 75%, that's when you at that selective hearing, right?
mhm,
That goes for anybody because the tone in the message has completely changed. The approach has changed. And now no matter what you say or what the conversation is about, it's not even about the topic anymore or what it's supposed to be about. It's just more about you're not listening.
Mhm.
You're not listening. So now when anybody reaches 100, now we're at the end of the
Yelling,
wheel. It's
screaming.
like I done
Yeah.
told you what the you know what I'm
Now
saying?
nobody's
You know what
hearing
I'm
no
saying?
one.
So
Mhm.
we're
Yeah,
breaking it down like that to the individuals that I had and saying, well, this is your problem. This is what the problem is, and I'll
Mhm.
just use what the issue was. Issue was leaving shoes, work shoes, in the kitchen, and I'm
mm,
saying, well, in the beginning, your wife said, "Hey, can you move these things?" You heard her, you moved it, but then you got lazy in the situation of just doing it again. Now she told you, you heard her, you moved it, but you did notice a little change in when she said it.
Mhm.
Now she's at 75% because you're not paying attention to the severity of what she's talking about, the germs, the everything that's coming in here, and we got kids. So you're ignoring it and you're hearing it at the same time. So now that's that selective hearing. And now when she
mhm.
closed her lid, it's like, who is this person I'm dealing with? When all
Yeah,
in reality, she started from 25 and you heard it, but you didn't make the necessary steps continuously on
Mhm.
your own
Yeah.
to be proactive, to not continuously ignore the subject matter. So
Well,
now,
there's a lack of
yeah,
prioritizing
yeah,
what your partner is asking at the end of the day. And I
hmm
feel like because as women, sometimes to a fault, we are raised to just serve and do that. It's like there's a lot that we take. There's a lot of, okay, fine, I'll just tell him 50 minutes. You're not saying anything that any woman, doesn't matter what color they are, what kind of, you know what I mean? Like what kind of relationship they're in, that they all have the same exact complaints, like the same exact complaints. And a lot of it has to do with who prioritizes what. You know what I mean? The woman is over here, you're absolutely right, looking at the household, like I'm trying to protect the household and blah, 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 blah. And you looking at this like, why is that big of a deal?
Right.
Like, ain't nobody died today. They probably won't die tomorrow. So it'll be all right if they stay here until next week when I go back to work. Like, but how did that thought process make your spouse feel? Once
Right.
again, if we take ego out of the situation, because all of that is egotistical, it's
Mhm.
well, where I'm at right now and the fact that it doesn't matter to me, that's where you going with it. And so that's why you didn't move the shoes. That's why you didn't intentionally do. Because here's the thing. Remember when y'all first started dating, you were very, very intentional about making sure that you did everything that person was asking you to do, or checking off every single box. Now all of a sudden you got them together, and now it's just like, F those boxes.
Right. Now you're comfortable. Comfortable. Right.
Mhm.
Protect them yourself. And I think that's where we end up getting messed up. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's because we are serving well before we get into this committed relationship, and so we feel like we've given too much well before we even got into where we're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
Or we are now growing and getting a little bit more emotionally mature or aware of ourselves, and now we're realizing the person that we're with, and it's like, oh dang, did I make a mistake? Is it too late? Like, no backseats? Like, what's the rules with this?
Have any of you ladies ever switched roles in that perspective, where the man is taking on those responsibilities and those roles that you have taken on? And I ask this because pandemic happened, and I switched roles through pandemic and after, and had a completely different perspective, right? Where it was like, oh, this is what you deal with. I'd rather go back to work. Right?
And I'll be better.
I'm okay with going back to work.
My shoes? All right.
Right.
Right? And then not being able to go back to work right away, and roles did switch where I was, okay, I'm home. You're gone. Having to create that system that you all create that functions for the home. The cooking, the cleaning, the kids, the making sure everything is prioritized, and it's like, this is a full-time job. I don't even get paid for this. Like, so have you ever put those responsibilities or switch those roles with your husbands, ex-husbands, or spouses to get so that they can see it firsthand, where it's like, I'm not walking out on you, but you need to experience this so you understand what your daily is like, what you actually feeling, how much stress you actually carry, like what. So that's my question to you ladies.
No,
Well, I can go ahead.
No, all I'm saying is I haven't been through that. I came from a marriage where I think Hispanic people, anybody from another island, they is different culture. So they don't really believe in that type of stuff, So that's where I came from. So I never experienced that. I came from where the wife is supposed to do that, and that, take care of the kids, everything. So I have not experienced that. I wish I had though. That'd be nice.
Well, I know for me, I didn't eat. My situation was unique because I was the breadwinner. I did the work. I paid all the bills. He did cook, but he wouldn't clean up after he cooked. So there was a pile all in the kitchen. And there was nothing that he did to help. Absolutely nothing. Like, I went and worked 3 jobs to make ends meet, and he had a little piece of job, and he did what he wanted to. So I never had that opportunity. He never did stuff in the home that I would do, and I really didn't get a chance to do it as much because I'm always out trying to make money. And then on the weekends when I should be resting from my 3 or 4 jobs, I'm still having to clean and do all of this stuff because he didn't do it.
Right.
So I never had that moment where he could see it from my side, where he went and worked to see what I deal with to try to make ends meet, try to pay this rent, to try to pay these utilities and all of that. It was never like that. So like I said, my situation was unique. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
I'm gonna clarify that he did cook from at times, but go ahead, Morgan. They don't lie on him. He did.
At times he did too.
So we just have gotten to a place where there's a little role reversal. Our schedule and stuff is a little different. You know what I mean? He works nights. I typically work during the days, and it depends on the day and what's going on. If I need to necessarily be out of the house or if I'm in the house, but what I have learned to do, if nothing else, is to kind of speak up in certain situations. Like when I am, about to get on a Zoom for a consultation and he's home and the kids, mainly Noah, is like running around all crazy, I'm like, you get to go to work 12 hours uninterrupted. I don't get to do my job uninterrupted. Noah is playing with my hair. Joe's trying to whisper something. You over here trying to write me a note. And it's like, but yet, we're in a place where we need to have a 2-income household. Mm-hmm. But I've also explained to him too, I can quote unquote go back to work and put this entrepreneurship bit to the side for a hot second. But because I come to the table with 20 years plus of experience in my industry, that means that I will be working 80 hours a week. So what does that mean for you? Yeah. So if I'm working 80 hours a week and you, because of your schedule and stuff, maybe it might be, 36 hours one week, it might be 40 hours another week. I'm still doing double the amount that you're doing. And then you still gonna have to come home and take care of this, because guess what? I'm not gonna be around. So if you aren't all right with me completely stepping outside of the house and you handling all of this and your job, then I think we need to figure out how this right here is about to work. Because that 80 hours looks completely different for everything. And that includes my time with you, because I'm already tired. Mm-hmm. But now you're going to add a real 80-hour somebody. I'm not even working towards my own goal, my own nothing. I'm just making somebody else rich, being aggravated with a whole bunch of all of that other kind of stuff. And then I got to come home, and then you're going to be still asking me, hey, can we have some quality time? I got nothing for you, bro. And that's not me being mean. It's me being
tired. True.
I'm tired.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just the same as he's tired when he comes home. So for me, I am the partner that I am an empath, that at heart. Like, so for me, I look at it like on the days where I know my husband comes home from work, come home early in the morning, but he's got to go to work that evening. I make sure that certain things are done. Like, I will make sure that, he at least eats when he comes in the house, or I've got something when he's on his way out, because the majority of the time he's asleep. I will find things for the kids to do, for us to go outside of the house if possible, so that he could get good quality sleep. The last thing I want him to do is die on the job. Now we got a whole bigger problem at hand. You know what I mean? But then the question is, are we speaking up, as you've been talking about, LaToya, specifically for ourselves, when I'm doing all of these things and I'm like, okay, listen, I done homeschooled the kids. I just got called for a birth. I've been gone for 32 hours. And now I come back. The house is still a wreck the way that it was before. And there's nothing even for me to eat. Yeah, I'm going to have a tone, and I'm going to probably tell you about yourself too. Because I don't do that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, being able to have that conversation back and forth, and it's hard. It really is hard, because once again, that other person is going to have to be able to hold themselves accountable. They're going to have to see that there's another part for them to play. And I think me jumping into this doula role has kind of pushed as far as the dynamic here, and my husband really understanding what he, needs to do in order for it to kind of work. So I can at least say over the last 2.5 weeks, I've seen him clean things I've never seen him clean before. I've seen him cook meals that he wouldn't ordinarily, cook. I have said, hey, listen, I just got into this training and I really need to take this because it's going to be able to allow me to do X, Y, and Z with my business. And so he took the kids. He actually went and picked up a cake for catering for me and delivered it while I was at the hospital for a birth. That ain't never happened in the 20 years I've known this man. But it is probably because of that role reversal. It probably is because I've opened my mouth and started saying, hey, first off, no, I'm not doing this. Mm-hmm. But two, if this is, I need your help. And I think sometimes we as women too, being as independent as we are or not trusting in a certain area, we don't ask for help or we don't allow you guys to be able to help.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I've had to learn there are certain places where, yeah, you know what? I don't care how he does it as long as it gets done. If I care how it gets done, I'm not going to ask him to do it because all I know is I'm going to stand behind him and micromanage him anyway. And who likes that? You know what I mean? So
hey, I'm ready to give up the total independent role. And here,
yeah,
I let me help you,
Right.
but you take that, and I'm going to help you. But I don't want to be the one trying to figure out now how I'm gonna take care of this. Now I got to do this. I got to no.
Right? No, our position is supposed to be a help me. So if I'm supposed to help me, let me help.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be one. No, I'm not it. I don't want to be that no more. I will help you and do my role. And trust me, you got to help her. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do that. But to me to take all of that and then, like you said, and you want me to do this? No.
Right. Like I'm saying, Latoya, I think if anything we take away from this, it most definitely is being able to speak up and say what it is that you need. Even when it comes to now post-divorce and now you're getting into another relationship, just like you said, those things that you don't want, those things that like, you know, go this marriage, no. Y'all, I'm coming in soft. I ain't doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And I'm not doing this. Is that all right with you, sir?
Lay it out.
Or ma'am. You know what I mean? If it's not, then don't get into that because you're going to be real upset when that person is not delivering with the expectation.
That's true.
So, Toya, I want to ask you where you are now. How do you feel about where you are now after everything has been finalized and you're moving forward with your life? How are you feeling now with it?
Even though everything is finalized, you still get a little pushback. I'm still getting pushback from the other party, you know, but personally, I'm definitely growing. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm accomplishing things. I'm just feeling good about the future. So that's no option. I'm feeling great.
Yeah. And that's the key there is knowing that you're moving in the right direction. And if you start to feel that, I remember just that next day after the split took place, the separation before the divorce was final, that next day I came home from work and I sat in the living room like, oh my God. And it was the peace that I had was like,
Yes.
And I was happy to come home because I hated to come home. I don't want to sleep next to him. I don't even want to look at you right now.
Right.
No.
It's just to be walking around your home and just feeling just lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just silent.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the worst feeling that you have to walk around your home and feeling like you're not noticed or just be silent. It's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad that you started the organization that you did. Tell everybody what the name of it and how they can contact you if they do.
Right. So name of the organization is She's Understood. You can find me on Facebook at Latoya Baker, or you can find me on IG at The Real Latoya Baker. It's easy to find me, y'all. So, yep, just look me up. If you have any questions about She's Understood, the support group, just message me and I'll get right to you.
And you never know, somebody may message you because they may want to start the organization in their community and they may need you to come and help them spearhead that and get that started.
So actually, She's Understood support group is virtual, so it reaches women all over the place. I have women coming in from Boston, all over the place, Texas, all over. So it's definitely a wide range of women that participate in the support group.
Even better. That's good.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question anyway. So perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be able to reach as many women as I can.
Absolutely. All right. So, Jack, are you saying you want to come in? I'm trying to understand what her message was. Look at the time. Oh my goodness, Andre. I am so happy that you came on to share with us and give your perspective. And thank you for everybody that going to watch and comment. Like, and I know your comments over there on your page are blowing up like mine. I'm like, I got to go back and read all of this stuff. But there's a lot that people have shared, commented, and said, and we appreciate it. Latoya, we appreciate you coming on and sharing and getting us started with this conversation.
Thank you for having
All of
me.
that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So we're going to leave out of here this evening. Thank you for joining us. If you have not shared this broadcast out, you need to do so. And if you have not subscribed to the House of Speech before we take this QR code down, you might want to scan that because as you see, we bring some good content, some good information. So, Morgan, there again, it was so great to be with you always, every week.
You too. Thank you, Latoya. Thank you, Dre.
Thank you, both of you. All right, y'all. So until next time, we'll be back here again next Tuesday at the same time. Y'all have a great rest of your week and a phenomenal weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yes. See ya.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, I'm so extra. Express myself, I'm next up. Yeah, what more do you say? Coming up. Yeah.